Two people walk into the same room. Same meeting, same stakes, same people waiting. The first one speaks, and the room leans in. Not because they're louder, not because they said anything brilliant. They just hold space. Their words land with weight. When they pause, no one interrupts. When they disagree, it's noted, considered. The second person speaks, and something shifts. Subtle, almost invisible, but you feel it. The room keeps scrolling. Someone talks over them mid-sentence. Their idea gets absorbed, repackaged, credited to someone else 10 minutes later. They laugh it off. They don't make a scene. Neither person is rude. Neither is incompetent. Neither lacks confidence technically. But one gets respect like gravity. Automatic, undeniable. The other has to earn it, over and over, in ways that never seem to stick. You've been the second person. Maybe not in that exact room. Maybe in a text thread that goes silent after you contribute. Maybe in a relationship where your boundaries get negotiated, but theirs are just accepted. Maybe at work, where your time is treated like a resource anyone can borrow, but certain people's calendars are untouchable. And here's the part that makes it so disorienting. You can't point to one thing they did wrong. There's no smoking gun, no obvious cruelty, just this slow, suffocating evaporation of presence. So you assume it's you, your personality, your energy, something you're missing that they have. But what if it's none of that? What if it's something you're doing right now without knowing it, that tells people, before you even finish your sentence, that your respect is optional? Here's what most people get wrong about disrespect. They think it's about dominance, about who talks the loudest, who has the sharpest comeback, who takes up the most space. So they try to fix it with performance, more confidence, better posture, stronger eye contact, clearer boundaries. And it doesn't work, because disrespect isn't a conscious decision someone makes about you. It's not like they sit there thinking, I'm going to dismiss this person today. It happens faster than thought. It's a read, a signal their brain picks up before language even enters the room. You've seen it go the other way too. Someone walks in with zero credentials, zero charm, zero effort to impress, and people just defer. Not out of fear, not out of admiration. It's something else, something automatic. That's the level we're actually dealing with. Not moral, not social, not even emotional really. Pre-verbal. Your body is speaking a language you didn't agree to, and the message it's sending has nothing to do with how smart you are, how hard you work, or how kind you've been. It has everything to do with whether you collapse under pressure that hasn't even arrived yet. Most disrespect doesn't start in conflict. It starts in anticipation. In the micro moment before someone even challenges you, when your system already begins adjusting, softening, preparing to give ground. And people feel that. They don't process it consciously. They just know, on some primal level, that your position is negotiable, that your time bends, that your words can be interrupted, reconsidered, ignored, and you'll absorb it. Which means the fix isn't louder. It isn't sharper. It isn't learning comebacks or setting better boundaries, though those might help later. The fix is changing the signal you're sending before anyone says a word. And once you see what that signal actually is, you'll recognize it everywhere. In your texts, in your silences, in the speed of your yes. Stick with me, because what comes next isn't comfortable, but it's accurate. It doesn't start when someone cuts you off. It starts 30 seconds earlier, when you feel them about to. Picture this. You're in a casual conversation. Someone mentions a topic you know well. You have a thought, a good one. But before you share it, something happens inside you. A quick calculation, a scan of the room. Will this sound too assertive? Should I soften it first? Maybe add a joke so it doesn't land too heavy? So you do. You buffer your own point before anyone asks you to. I mean, I could be wrong, but this might be a stupid question. Sorry, just thinking out loud here. You think you're being considerate, collaborative, avoiding unnecessary friction. But here's what actually just happened. You introduced instability into your own signal. You told every nervous system in that room that your position is pre-apologized, that you're already weighing whether you deserve to be heard. And humans, whether they realize it or not, are extraordinarily good at detecting instability. Not your ideas, not your competence, your steadiness. Someone else says the exact same thing you were about to say. No preamble, no softening. They just state it, and it lands differently. Not because the idea is better, because there's no wobble underneath it. This is where disrespect begins. Not in what people do to you, in what you do to yourself, reflexively, before they've done anything at all. You're in a group chat. Someone asks a question. You know the answer, but you don't respond immediately. You wait. You see if someone else jumps in first. You don't want to seem overeager. You don't want to dominate. So you type, delete, retype, add a little emoji to keep it light. By the time you hit send, 3 other people have already responded. Your answer gets buried. No one reacts. Not because it was wrong, because the hesitation that preceded it made it feel optional. Here's the pattern. You're managing tension that doesn't exist yet, laughing a little too quickly when someone makes a borderline comment, filling silences that weren't uncomfortable until you rushed to fix them, offering an explanation for a decision no one questioned. You think you're being smooth, adaptable, easy to work with, but what people's brains are actually reading is this. This person will move first, not out of generosity, out of discomfort with holding ground. And once that read happens, it doesn't matter how smart you are, how qualified, how much value you bring, because respect doesn't attach to competence. It attaches to whether your nervous system can afford to stay still when nothing is guaranteed. Most people never see this. They think the problem is the interruption, the overlooked idea, the dismissive comment, but those are just confirmations. The disrespect was already granted. You gave permission for it in the breath before you spoke. There's a cruel irony buried in this. The sharper you are, the worse it gets. Not because intelligence makes you weak, because it makes you adaptable. And adaptability, in the wrong context, becomes the very thing that dismantles your presence. Smart people are pattern recognition machines. You walk into a room and within seconds you've mapped it. Who's tense? Who's performing? What's unsaid but simmering underneath? You don't do this consciously. Your brain just runs the simulation. And then, here's the trap, you adjust. You modulate your tone so it doesn't threaten the person who's insecure. You hold back the sharper version of your idea because you sense someone isn't ready for it. You laugh at the joke that wasn't funny because you feel the room needs ease. You think you're being socially intelligent, and you are, but you're also teaching people that your shape is negotiable. Someone with less awareness, they don't pick up on the tension. They just say what they came to say. They don't smooth it over. They don't preemptively manage everyone else's comfort. And paradoxically, that makes them easier to respect, because their position doesn't shift based on who's in the room. Here's what happens when you're constantly reading the room. You become reactive before anyone's even acted. You're 3 steps ahead, solving problems no one asked you to solve, avoiding conflicts that weren't brewing. Meanwhile, the person who doesn't notice half of what you notice, they just exist, steady, unbothered, and that steadiness reads as strength, even when it's just obliviousness. You've seen this in work environments. The person who's technically brilliant but gets talked over in meetings. They see every angle, every complication. So when they speak, they're already accounting for objections, hedging their phrasing, building in escape routes. We could try this, though there are some risks. It might work if we adjust for X and Y. Compare that to someone who says, "We should do this." Same idea, different frequency. One sounds like an offering, the other sounds like a position. Your intelligence isn't the problem. It's what you do with the data you collect. You notice someone's micro-expression shift when you disagree, so you soften your disagreement. You catch the subtle impatience when you're explaining something, so you rush to wrap it up. You sense that someone wants you to move faster, accommodate more, take up less space, so you do. And every single time, you're making a trade. Comfort now, respect never. The person who doesn't see these nuances, they don't make the trade. Not because they're brave, because they're not tracking it. So they hold their ground without even realizing there was ground to hold. You're not losing respect because you lack social skills. You're losing it because you have too many, and you're deploying them in a way that continuously repositions you as the one who bends. It's exhausting, being this perceptive, exhausting and invisible, because no one sees the 1,000 micro adjustments you make to keep things smooth. They just notice that somehow, when it matters, your voice doesn't carry the same weight, and you can't figure out why. Now you know. Let's name it. The signal that triggers disrespect isn't what you say. It's not your tone, your clothes, your credentials, or how much space you take up. It's this. You collapse before pressure actually arrives. That's it. That's the whole mechanism. You fold under weight that hasn't been applied yet. You concede to demands no one made. You defend yourself against accusations that weren't spoken. And people feel it, not as a thought, as a certainty. 3 components make this visible. You can track them in real time once you know what to look for. First, verbal cushioning. You add explanations where none were requested. Someone asks if you can meet Thursday. You don't just say yes or no. You explain your entire week, justify your availability, apologize for constraints that are completely normal. You're narrating your decision-making process to soften a boundary that didn't need softening. Second, emotional pre-guilt. You feel bad before anything happens. Someone texts, "Can we talk?" and your chest tightens. Not because they're angry, because your system assumes you did something wrong and starts preparing the apology. You're in trouble that doesn't exist yet. Third, temporal collapse. You respond too fast. Someone sends a request at 11 p.m. and you answer in 4 minutes. Not because it's urgent, because leaving it unanswered feels unbearable. You treat other people's timelines as more real than your own. Their convenience becomes your emergency. All 3 share the same route. You move first. You break your own position before anyone tests it. Watch someone who doesn't send this signal. They get the same text at 11 p.m. They see it, and they respond, "Tomorrow, at 9 a.m. No apology. No sorry for the delay. Just the answer. Nothing hostile. Nothing dramatic. Just presence that doesn't flinch. That's what people respect. Not the kindness. Not the effort. The fact that your system can tolerate the space between stimulus and response without rushing to collapse it. Disrespect isn't something people choose to give you. It's something they stop being able to avoid once your signal tells them you've already given in. You'll know it's happening when you start recognizing the pattern instead of the incident. One late reply? Fine. Someone running 15 minutes behind once? Sure. But when you map it over weeks, the picture sharpens. The same people, the same behaviors, always with you. Check your messages. Not what you sent, how fast you sent it. Someone reaches out asking for a favor. You respond in minutes, paragraphs deep, solving their problem before they've finished describing it. They thank you. Then they go quiet for 3 days when you need something. Not malicious, just uneven. Because you made your time feel instant, abundant, endlessly accessible. Now look at whose ideas survive in group settings. You share a thought in the meeting. Silence. Partial nods. 10 minutes later, someone else reframes the exact same thing. Suddenly it's brilliant. You don't fight it. You weren't even surprised. That's not coincidence. Your idea came pre-apologized. Theirs came stated. Notice who gets away with being late. Not once, chronically. They text, "Running behind," 5 minutes after you've already arrived. You wait. You always wait. And it keeps happening because your time absorbs their chaos without consequence. You've never let the natural awkwardness land. Never let them sit with the cost of making you wait. Track the jokes. The ones where you're the punchline. Subtle, affectionate even. But they keep coming. And you keep laughing along because calling it out would make you the problem. So it continues. Not because people are cruel. Because your reaction taught them the boundary doesn't exist. Watch what happens when you say no. Actually, watch what happens before you say no. The dread, the need to justify, the 3-paragraph explanation for why you can't do something you were never obligated to do in the first place. Someone else says no with 2 words. Can't Thursday, that's it. No story, no guilt. And somehow it's respected. Here's the test. When someone crosses a line with you, do they apologize on their own? Or do you find yourself managing their comfort, making it easier for them to avoid accountability? If it's the second one, you're not experiencing isolated incidents. You're living inside a pattern you keep feeding. You've tried setting boundaries. Maybe you even said the words out loud, clear, direct. I need you to respect my time. I can't keep doing this. That doesn't work for me. And then, nothing changed. Or worse, it changed for a week, then slid right back. So you assumed you weren't firm enough. You looked up scripts, practiced phrases, got ready to say it better next time. But here's the truth. Boundaries fail when the signal underneath stays identical. You can say no with your mouth while your body screams, "Please don't be upset with me." You can set a limit while your face apologizes for having one. You can tell someone to stop, and then immediately soften it with a laugh, a qualifier, "But I totally get why you." The boundary becomes performance, theater, and everyone in the room knows it. Because what people respond to isn't your words. It's whether your nervous system believes what you just said, whether you can hold the space after you've drawn the line, whether you're willing to let the tension exist without rushing in to fix it. Most boundary setting sounds like this. Hey, I really can't keep answering work messages after 8 p.m. I hope that's okay. I just need some time to recharge, you know? Notice the leak, the hope that it's okay, the need for them to understand, the reassurance embedded in the limit itself. Someone who doesn't send the signal says, I don't check messages after 8. Same boundary, zero negotiation. The difference isn't boldness, it's that their system isn't afraid of the consequence. Yours is already bracing for disapproval, managing it, absorbing it before it even arrives. So the boundary gets spoken, but the collapse happens anyway, and people learn very quickly that your lines are suggestions, negotiable, movable, depending on how much pressure they apply. The fix isn't addition, it's subtraction. You don't need new phrases, better posture, or a confidence playlist. You need to stop doing the thing that's creating the problem. Stop explaining when no one asked for an explanation. Someone questions your decision. You feel the urge to justify, to walk them through your entire reasoning, to prove you thought it through. Don't. Just restate the decision. Yeah, I'm going with Thursday. Then stop. Let the silence do whatever it's going to do. That pause, the one that feels unbearable, that's where the signal shifts. Stop filling dead air. Someone says something that lands wrong. Awkward silence follows. Your instinct is to smooth it over, laugh it off, say something to relieve the tension. Resist. Let it sit. Let them feel what they just created. The discomfort isn't yours to manage. Stop responding immediately to non-urgent requests. You see the message. You know the answer. Wait. Not as a power move, as a recalibration. Let your response time reflect actual priority, not emotional reflex. 8 hours later is fine. Tomorrow morning is fine. Just seeing this now is not required. Stop preemptive apologizing. You're not late. You didn't do anything wrong. You just exist. And somehow that feels like it needs a disclaimer. It doesn't. Walk in. Sit down. Speak. No preamble. Stop rewarding behavior you don't want repeated. Someone shows up late again. You smile, say it's fine, move on quickly so it's not awkward. That's the moment. That's where you either let the natural consequence land, brief, uncomfortable silence, or you absorb it for them. Choose differently. This isn't about being cold. It's about stopping the automatic collapse. Correction happens in the gap between stimulus and your rush to fix it. When you can let that gap exist without filling it, apologizing for it, or explaining it away, people recalibrate. Not because you got meaner, because you got still. Here's what nobody tells you about fixing this. Some people adjust, some people leave, and both outcomes are information. When you stop collapsing early, the people who actually respect you, who maybe didn't even realize they were testing you, they recalibrate fast. Almost instantly, they start asking instead of assuming, confirming instead of expecting, matching your energy instead of draining it. These people were never the problem. They were just responding to the signal you were sending. But others? They'll push back. Not with words necessarily. With behavior. They'll text more urgently. Show up later. Test whether your new boundary is real or just a mood. They're not being malicious, they're just used to a version of you that moved when they needed you to. And now you're not moving. So they apply more pressure to see if the old system still works. This is the part that feels terrible. Because some of them won't adjust, they'll drift, pull back, get weird. And you'll be tempted to think you did something wrong. That you're being difficult now. Too rigid. Not the easygoing person you used to be. But what's actually happening is simpler. The relationship was built on your flexibility, not mutual respect. And when you stop being endlessly flexible, the foundation cracks. That's not failure. That's clarity. The ones who stay and stay well, those are your people. They didn't need you small. They just needed to know where you actually stand. You'll also notice something stranger. New respect from people who barely acknowledged you before. Not because you're doing anything extra. Because you're no longer doing all the things that made you disappear. Presence isn't loud. It's just uncollapsible. And the moment people sense that in you, the entire social geometry shifts. Some relationships deepen, others end. Both are wins. Let's talk about what happens if you don't fix this. Not the social cost, the internal one. You keep going, keep adapting, keep being the person who makes it easy for everyone else. And on the surface it works. You're well-liked, helpful, no one complains. But underneath, something starts eroding. You stop trusting your own reactions. Someone does something that bothers you, and instead of honoring that feeling, you interrogate it. Am I being too sensitive? Is this even a big deal? Maybe I'm overreacting. You've spent so long dismissing your own boundaries that you can't tell anymore when they're actually being violated. So you live with this low-grade hum of resentment, not sharp enough to name, not clear enough to address. Just there, constant, quiet. You're tired in a way sleep doesn't fix. Because the exhaustion isn't physical. It's the exhaustion of performing emotional labor no one asked for, managing tensions that aren't yours, absorbing impacts that should have bounced off. And here's the worst part. You start building a life that isn't yours. Your calendar fills with obligations you never wanted. Your relationships operate on terms you never agreed to. Your career shaped by what you were willing to tolerate, not what you actually wanted. Because every time you collapsed early, you sent a signal about what you'd accept. And life delivered exactly that. You look around one day and realize, nothing here reflects you. Not really. It reflects everyone else's convenience, their timelines, their expectations, their comfort. You became so good at making space for others, you forgot to occupy your own. This doesn't announce itself dramatically. There's no breakdown, no crisis, just a slow, suffocating awareness that you've spent years building someone else's version of your life, and the person you were supposed to become, still waiting, buried under every yes you didn't mean. Remember those two people who walked into the same room? Same meeting, same stakes, different gravity. The difference was never talent, never charm, never who worked harder or cared more. It was whether their presence could stay intact when nothing was guaranteed. One person's nervous system knew how to be still. The other was already moving, adjusting, collapsing before anyone asked them to. And that's the signal. That's the whole game. Disrespect doesn't respond to effort. It doesn't respond to kindness or competence or how much value you bring. It responds to presence. The kind that doesn't flinch, doesn't pre-apologize, doesn't rush to fill the gaps or manage the tension, or smooth over what should stay rough. You don't need to become someone else. You just need to stop abandoning yourself before anyone else gets the chance. Most people will never see this. They'll keep trying to earn respect through performance, through being better, nicer, more accommodating. But you're not most people anymore. You know what the signal is now, you know where it lives, and you know what happens when you stop sending it. The room doesn't change. You do. And then, quietly, inevitably, so does everything else.